Hello everybody, welcome back to Mystic Islands trading card game. Today we're going to be going over the third and last starter deck for my game Mystic Islands. So we've went over Dwarven Seas before. Went over that. We went over Mystical Death last video. Every card in there. And now we're going to be going over Imperial Woodlands. Now this is going to consist of all the cards on the back here if you want to make it at home, if you have the cards but don't have the starter deck. Basically it's going to consist of Royalty Faction and Goblin Faction. So Royalty Faction likes to gain yourself health while trying to put counters, preferably big counters like +1/+1 counters to boost your creatures and things like that on your own guys. So you don't really have a lot of big guys coming out. You just have a lot of, it's small guys that pretty much boost each other. So they kind of work in tandem. You gotta be a little more strategic with them, but they do gain you some health to counteract the damage you may take from big guys. So this guy is Destined Knight. He's the dude on the deck box, of course. And all these decks are for sale. First link in the description is all my products on the Gamecrafter. Each of these is $13.99, and I also have booster packs for $5.99. So if you do like the look of these cards, go ahead and check that out. Now I'm going to go over each one and their abilities, so let's get this started. So Destined Knight is a Royalty Faction creature, 3 attack, 3 defense. He costs 3, and he gains 1 health when he actually dies. Put the commons here. We've got 2 of him in this deck. Goblin Warrior is actually the first goblin we get here. He costs 1 crystal, 1 attack, 1 defense. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent just takes 1 damage. So it's a good way of getting damage quick. That's what the goblins like to do. Just deal quick damage, but sometimes it backfires and they hurt themselves. Sword of the Mighty. This is actually one of the most strong cards in the game for a common. It costs 2. It's an ability card. And it says give target creature +1/+1 until death. Once you've used this card, it goes to the bottom of your graveyard. So this card literally just makes any card better by 1 attack and 1 defensive point. And we actually get 2 copies of those. So this card is also very good for a common. It is Bloodthirsty, a goblin ability for 2. And it says target creature or caster takes 4 damage. So a caster is a player in this game. They're referred to as a caster. It says when you cast this ability, you lose 2 health. So when you play this, you lose 2 health, but your opponent or their creature takes 4 damage. That is also a common. You get 2 of those as well. So we get Regret, costs 2. It says discard 3 cards and gain 3 health. Just if you have a lot of cards in your hand and you just need health. We get Noble Knight, very solid card. One of the first ones I ever drew, actually number 3 in the set. And it says he's got 1 attack and 2 defense, so he's okay. And it says gain X health this turn. X stands for the amount of cards you have left in your hand. Limit of 3. So if you have 3 cards left in your hand after you cast him, you gain health equal to how many cards you have left in your hand, with a limit of 3. So you would gain 3 health. If you have 2 cards left, you gain 2. 1 card, 1, 0. You wouldn't gain anything. We get 2 copies of him as well. We get Goblin Nightcrawler. This guy is pretty good. He's our first uncommon of the starter deck. 3 attack, 2 defense. Pretty top heavy for a 2. And it says pay 1. You can only do this ability once, but you pay 1 crystal while he's on the battlefield. You'll lose 2 health and your opponent takes 4 health. So he's kind of like a built-in Bloodthirsty on him. So you definitely want to get rid of him if you're playing against him. Infantry Support. While this creature's on the battlefield, every primary foot soldier gets +1 attack, +1 defense counter until this card is destroyed. I'm going to put this off to the side because we're going to see those in a minute. I'll show you. Bloodthirsty Orc, 4 attack, 4 defense for 5 is a weak card, and he has a few downsides on his card. It says, when this creature is casted, lose 3 health and discard a card from your hand. But his upside is that he has the Enraged Skill, which is the red text here, which means for every enemy this creature kills, put a +1 attack, +1 defense counter on it with a limit of 3. So if you kill 3 creatures with him, he will become a 7/7 permanently, and he will be your big, heavy, swinging attacker in the game. So here's the primary foot soldier I was talking about. He's just a 1 attack, 1 defense. When he comes in, you gain 1 health. and he works perfectly with infantry support. So as long as this guy's on the battlefield with this guy, he gets +1 attack, +1 defense for each one. So let's say there's 2 of them, which there are in the starter deck. So you could have them both be 2 attack, 2 defense. Sorry, I can't talk. Those are commons as well. We get Woodland Retreat, Goblin ability. Return target creature on your battlefield to your hand. Add chaos crystals to your stash equal to the amount that creature is worth. We have Fallen Knight. This one's kind of confusing as well. If a knight creature died this round, the opposing caster takes damage equal to the amount taken by that creature. So let's say you have Destined Knight, the guy on the front here. He has 3 attack, 3 defense. If you hit him for 7 damage, he took 3 of that damage when he died. So if you play this, your opponent will then take 3 damage because you killed a knight. So they have to have knight in their name. Fierce Troll Brute. When casted, put a +1 attack, -1 counter on target Goblin faction creature you control until death. So he's a 6 attack, 5 defense. He's kind of weak in the defensive category, but you can put this counter on him so he will be a 7 attack, 4 defense instead, and he could be a bigger threat to your opponent with 7 damage. We get Iron Fist Brawler. We're actually going to get 2 of those. Now what these guys do is they actually just help each other. And says every time another Iron Fist Brawler enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter. Let's say this one dies, gets killed by your opponent. This one will still be a 3 attack, 3 defense. But let's say you get this one back from the graveyard and he enters the battlefield again. He will get another counter and he will get a counter as well. It's a good way to just boost your creatures for 2 crystals. So we get Feeble Goblin, widely regarded as one of the worst cards in the game, but it can be used in specific situations because of his untapped ability, which I will explain. So he cost 1 attack, 1 defense. When this creature dies, you lose health equal to the amount of creatures that you control, including this card. So if he dies, you will lose health equal to, let's say you have 2 creatures out here. You will lose 1, 2, and him. So you'll lose 3 health when he dies. So that sucks. It's not good for you at all. But he does have the untapped ability, so he comes out ready to attack. So he would be good very late game. If you need a few extra points of damage, you can play him. And you know he's not going to die. It's probably the best time to play him. You also get 2 of him in this deck. So Lonesome Knight, 3 attack, 1 defense. No ability, just some flavor text on him. Very basic. Backstabbing Goblin. When Backstabbing Goblin attacks, the opposing caster always takes 1 extra point of damage. So let's say you attack a 7 attack, 7 defense, for example, with this guy. He obviously gets no damage through because he's only a 2 attack, but 1 extra point of damage will always hit your opponent when he attacks. Get 2 of those. You get Sharpshooter. Royalty card, 3 attack, 2 defense, common. When this card is casted, gain life equal to the amount of royalty faction creatures on the battlefield prior to this card being casted. So there's a limit of 4 on that. Pretty self-explanatory. You get Outcasted Hobgoblin in this starter deck. And he is just a basic vanilla 1 attack, 1 defense card. I just think his art is very funny. You actually grab 2 of him as well. You're going to get 2 forbidden spells. Target ability card has no effect and is destroyed. This is just a simple counter to spells. You get Flesh Hungry Imps. When this creature dies, search your deck for an Outcasted Hobgoblin, which I just showed you. I'll show you again. So you search when he dies, you search your deck for one of these, put it on the battlefield, tapped, and then you shuffle your deck. That's it for that. Then we get to our 2 rares. So right here we get Dusk Rider, Royalty Faction, 7 attack, 6 defense. These are rare as indicated by the red here. When Dusk Rider kills a creature, give a +1 attack, +1 defense encounter to all Royalty Faction on the entire battlefield except for him. So let's say your opponent is running Royalty as well. If he kills a creature, all Royalty gets boosted by 1 attack and 1 defense until they die. So he is very strong. You definitely want to, if you're going to make a Royalty deck, you probably want to get him the starter deck just so you have a copy of him. And then our last card is Goblin Chain Twirler, which is the rare for the goblins. He costs 4 attack, 3 defense, pretty weak, but he has the Amber ability, which means every time he attacks, survives, and deals damage to your opponent, he gets a +1 attack, +1 defense as well. So there's a lot of counters in this deck, a lot of +1/+1s, +1/-1s, and he has a limit of 3, so he can be a 7/6 as well. So he's also very good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know if you could see all those. This is the Imperial Woodlands starter deck. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Also, check out my last 2 videos, Mystical Death starter deck and Dwarven Seas. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit me up on the Gamecrafter, subscribe, comment, and let me know what else you want me to do in the future regarding videos. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.